And now, Andrew Does Everything proudly presents Cinderella, based on the story of Cinderella. Once upon a time, there lived a young girl named Cinderella. Cinderella had 5 ugly, mean stepsisters named Tasha, Hannah, Rena, and the twins Ellie and Emmy. Tasha, Hannah, Rena, Ellie, and Esme made Cinderella do all the chores. Sweep the floors, wash the dishes, do it all, said Tasha, Hannah, Rena, Ellie, and Emmy all together. One day, the king of Tripleville's messenger said, Hear ye, the king of Tripleville is going to throw a ball, and whoever has the most beautiful gown and crown shall marry his son, Prince Stripling. But Cinderella is not welcome. Her stepsisters are... Tasha said, He's going to marry me. Hannah said, No way, Tasha. He's going to marry me. Rena said, Both of you are wrong. He's going to marry me. Ellie said, All 3 of you are wrong. He's going to marry me. Emmy said, Are you kidding, sister? He's going to marry me. Later, Cinderella is so sad because she cannot go to the ball. Suddenly, Cinderella's fairy godmother asks what's wrong. Why are you crying, Cinderella? She asks. Cinderella responds, I can't go to the ball and marry Prince Stripling. The fairy godmother said, I can help with a bit of magic. She waved her magic wand and chanted the magic word. Triply, trappily, triply, true. And then Cinderella's chores are all done, but the fairy godmother said she's not done. He then said, Cinderella, go fetch me a good old pumpkin. Luckily, Cinderella has 3 pumpkins. The fairy godmother waved her magic wand and chanted the magic word, triply, trappily, troppily, true. And then the 3 pumpkins turned into a handsome coach drawn by 6 strong horses. And then Cinderella's do-rag and red dress turned into a gown and crown. Cinderella said, I've never seen such a triple-tastic crown and gown. And get a load of my glass slippers. The fairy godmother said, Have fun, Cinderella, but I would warn you. Return home before midnight, or the spell will be broken. Cinderella accepted the warning. Meanwhile, at the ball, Prince Stripling was wondering who he should marry. Tasha, Hannah, Rena, Ellie, and Emmy say all together, He's walking towards me! But he's not walking towards any of them. But he's walking towards Cinderella. Cinderella and Prince Stripling dance together. But later, Cinderella realized it's almost midnight, so she scurried out of the ball. And she's running so fast that she lost one of her glass slippers. Prince Stripling was so worried. He afraid that he might never see Cinderella again. So he traveled around Tripleville to find her and brought the tiny glass slipper with him. He knocked on the door of the house where Cinderella and her ugly, mean stepsisters lived. Ladies, I have a favor to ask. Can you try on this glass slipper? Tasha first. Hannah second. Rena third, and the twins last, but none of their feet fit. Suddenly, Prince Stripling noticed Cinderella singing. She exclaimed, Prince Stripling, is that you? Prince Stripling said, Of course it's me. Frila gets so excited because she's happy to have Prince Tripling back. And he doesn't need to put on the glass slipper back on Frila's foot because it's so uncomfortable. And they both live happily ever after. The end. And now, Anna Does Everything proudly presents Cinderella. It is based on the story of Cinderella. What? Let's tell you the story, shall we? Once upon a time, there lived a young girl named Cinderella. Cinderella had 4 ugly, mean stepsisters named Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona. Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona made Cinderella do all the chores. Sweep the floors. Wash the dishes. Do it all. Said Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona all together. One day, the king of Quadrillium's messengers said, Hear ye! Hear ye! The king of Quadrillium is going to throw a ball, and whoever has the most beautiful gown and crown shall marry his son, Prince 14. But Cinderella is not welcome. Her stepsisters are. He's going to marry me, said Fiona. Ophelia said, No way, Fiona! He's going to marry me. Ursula said, Both of you are wrong! He's going to marry me. Ramona said, All 3 of you are wrong! He's going to marry me. Later, Cinderella is so sad because she can't go to the ball and marry Prince 14, while her fairy godmother asks her what's wrong by saying, Why are you crying, Cinderella? Cinderella responds, I got lots of chores to be done. I can't go to the ball and marry Prince 14. Cinderella's fairy godmother said, I can help with a bit of magic. Cinderella's fairy godmother chants the magic words. Quiddity, quaddity, quaddity, quoo! And waves her magic wand. Because of that, all of Cinderella's chores are all done. But Cinderella's fairy godmother is not done yet. She said, Cinderella, go fetch me a pumpkin. Luckily, Cinderella has 4 pumpkins. Cinderella's fairy godmother said, and then chants the magic words. Quiddity, quaddity, quaddity, quoo, and waves her magic wand to turn the 4 pumpkins into a handsome coach drawn by 8 strong horses. And then, Cinderella's closer to a gathered crowd. Cinderella said, I've never seen such a quad-tastic gown. And get a lot of my glass slippers, her fairy godmother said. Have fun, mighty Cinderella. But I would warn you, return home before midnight, or the spell will be broken, and everything will turn back to the way it was before. Cinderella accepted the warning. Meanwhile, at the ball, Prince 14 was wondering who he should marry. Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona said all together, He's walking towards me! But he's not walking towards any of them. He's walking towards Cinderella. Cinderella and Prince 14 dance happily together. But later, Cinderella realizes something is midnight, so she scurried out of the ball. And she was running so fast that she lost both her glass slippers. Prince 14 was so worried that he might never see Cinderella again. So she So he traveled all around Quadrupling to find her. But the two tiny glass slippers with him. He knocked on the door of the home where Forella and her stepsisters live. But instead of Forella, he finds Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona. He then said, "Ladies, I have a favor to ask. Can you try on these glass slippers? Fiona is first, but her feet are too big." Ophelia said, "But her feet are too small." Ursula and Ramona did the same thing, but their feet don't fit either. Suddenly, Prince 14 notices Swarla's sweet singing. "The glass slippers fit!" Forella gets so excited because she's happy to have her Prince 14 back. And they both lived happily ever after. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on Andrew Does Everything. And if you want to see some sequels, tell your friends about it. And then, take care, Andrew's Doors. Bye. And now, Andrew's Doors. Andrew Knows Everything proudly presents for the 3,400 episode special 34ella. It is based on the story of Cinderella with a bit of a twist. Let's tell you the story, shall we? Once upon a time in a faraway land named Quadroturgeon Tumblingham, there was a young girl named 34ella. 34ella had 10 ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters named Tasha, Hilda, Isabella, Ramona, Tanya, Yadina, Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ruby. All 10 of them made fun of 34ella and made her do all the chores. 34, wench! Sweep the floors, wash the dishes, do it all! Said Tasha and Ruby all together. One day, the king of Quadroturgeon Tumblingham's messenger arrives and says, "Hear ye, hear ye! The king of Quadroturgeon Tumblingham, his royal majesty, is going to throw a ball, and whoever has the most beautiful gown and crown shall marry his son, Prince Quadroturgeon Tumbling." "Can I come?" asked 34ella, but she's not welcome. Her ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters are. "He's going to marry me," said Tasha, the oldest sister. But her younger sisters disagree. They tear 34ella's dress. Later, 34ella is so sad, distraught, and upset about not going to the ball and marrying Prince Quadroturgeon Tumbling. Suddenly, her fairy godmother arrives and comforts 34ella. There now, my dear 34ella," she said. "I'll fix everything for you. Nobody wants you." She then waves her magic wand. Because of that, 34ella's chores are all done. But her fairy godmother is not done yet. She said, 34ella, go fetch me a pumpkin and some mice." Luckily, 34ella has 34 pumpkins and some 68 mice. 34ella's fairy godmother waves her magic wand again to turn the 34 pumpkins into a handsome coach, the 68 mice into horses, and fixes 34ella's now torn dress and makes it bigger and better. 34ella said, "I've never seen such a Quadroturgeon Tumble-tastic gown! And get a load of my glass slippers! Fairy godmother, how can I ever thank you enough?" And climbed into the coach. 34ella's fairy godmother said, "Well, you can't. But have fun, 34ella. My dear, but I would warn you, return home before midnight, or the spell will be broken, and everything will change back to the way it was before." And gave her a clock to tell her what time it is. And so, 34ella accepted the warning. Meanwhile, at the ball, the king of Quadroor Tumblingham says, "Good evening, everybody." Prince Quadroor Tumbling was already who to marry. "Isn't that right, son?" To which Prince Quadroor Tumbling says, "Yes, father." Suddenly, 34 arrives at the ball just in time. "He's walking towards me," said Tasha, Hilda, Isabella, Ramona, Tanya, Yelena, Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, Ruby all together. But Prince Quadroor Tumbling is not walking towards any of them. He's walking towards 34 Prince Quadroor Tumbling then says, "May I have the stance?" In which 34 responds, "I would be delighted." And so 34 and Prince Quadroor Tumbling dance happily together. But later, 34 checks her clock and it's almost midnight, so she scurried out of the ball. And she was running so fast that she lost both of her glass slippers. Prince Quadroor Tumbling was really worried that he might never see 34 again. The king of Quadroor Tumblingham comforts him by saying, There now, son. I think we'll be able to find my dear daughter-in-law, 34 And so, the king of Quadroor Tumblingham and Prince Quadroor Tumbling began their journey all around the neighborhood to find 34 and brought the 2 glass slippers she lost with them. By the time they arrived, Prince Quadroor Tumbling knocks on the door of the house where 34 and her 10 ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters lived. But instead of 34 they find Tasha to Ramona. Prince Quadroor Tumbling then says, "Ladies, my father, the king of Quadroor Tumblingham and I have a favor to ask. Can anyone try on these glass slippers? Tasha is first, but her feet are too big. Hilda is next, but her feet are too small." "Nonsense! They fit!" she said. The rest did the same, but none of the feet are the right size either. Suddenly, the king of Quadroor Tumblingham and Prince Quadroor Tumbling notice 34 singing, "Your Majesty," and Prince Quadroor Tumbling. "Is that you guys?" she hollered excitedly. "My dear daughter-in-law, we found you. Will you marry Prince Quadroor Tumblingham?" To which 34 overjoys, "Yes!" And the glass slippers fit. And then 34 the king of Quadroor Tumblingham and Prince Quadroor Tumbling lived happily ever after. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story for the 3,400 episode special. And I bet you're going to love some sequels. And, I bet you're going to also love 35 for the 3,500 special. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and introduce everything. Buy our merchandise at introduceeverything.com. Take care. Bye. Andrew's Doers, Andrew Knows Everything, proudly presents 43rella. It is based on the story of Cinderella. Let's tell you the story, shall we? Once upon a time, there was a young girl named 43rella. 43rella had 10 ugly, mean stepsisters named Farah, Olivia, Ramona, Tanya, Yvonne, Hannah, Rosie, and the twins Erin and Emily. Farah, Olivia, Ramona, Tanya, Yvonne, Tasha, Hannah, Rosie, Erin, and Emily made 43rella do all the chores. "Sweep the floors, wash the dishes, do it all," said Farah, Olivia, Ramona, Tanya, Yvonne, Tasha, Hannah, Rosie, Erin, and Emily all together. One day, the king of Quadroor Tublingham's messenger said, Hear ye, the king of Tri-Quadra. Tumblingham is going to throw a ball, and whoever has the most beautiful gown and crown shall marry his son. Prince Tri-Quadra Tumbling. But 43 is not welcome. Her stepsisters are. They then argue over who will Prince Quadrigentubling marry. Later, 43 is so sad that she can't go to the ball and marry Prince Triquadragentubling. Suddenly, her fairy godmother asks her what's wrong by saying, Why are you crying, 43rella? 43rella responds, I can't go to the ball and marry Prince Triquadragentubling. 43rella's fairy godmother said, I can help with a bit of magic, and waved her magic wand. Because of that, all 43rella's chores are all done, but her fairy godmother is not done yet. She said, 43rella, go fetch me a pumpkin. Luckily, 43rella has 43 pumpkins. 43rella's fairy godmother waves her magic wand again to turn the 43rella's 43 pumpkins into a handsome coach drawn by 86 strong horses, and then 43rella's brick clothes into a gown and crown. 43rella said, I've never seen such a quadrigentabletastic gown, and get a lot of my glass slippers. How can I ever thank you enough? Her fairy godmother said, Well, you can't, but have fun, 43rella. But I would warn you, return home before midnight, or the spell will be broken, and everything will change back to the way it was before. 43rella accepted the warning. Meanwhile, at the ball, Prince Triquadragentubling was wondering who he should marry. Farah, Olivia, Ramona, Tanya, Yvonne, Tasha, Hannah, Rosie, Erin, Emily all say together, He's walking towards me! But he's not walking towards any of them. He's walking towards 43rella. Prince Quadragentubling then said, May I have this dance? 43rella's friends, I would be delighted. Prince Quadragentubling and 43rella danced happily together. But later, 43rella realized it's almost midnight, so she scurried out of the ball, and she was running so fast that she lost one of her glass slippers. Prince Quadragentubling was so worried that he might never see 43rella again. So he traveled all around on the trade door Quadragentubling to find her and brought the glass slipper with him. By the time he arrives, he knocks on the door of the house where 43rella and her stepsisters lived. But instead of 43rella, Prince Quadragentubling finds her stepsisters. He then said, Ladies, I have a favor to ask. Can any of you try on this glass slipper? Farah was first, but her foot is too big. Olivia is next, but her foot is too small. The rest did the same, but none of the feet were the right size. Suddenly, Prince Quadragentubling notices 43rella singing. 43rella gets so excited because she's happy to have Prince Quadragentubling back. And Prince Quadragentubling doesn't have to put the glass slipper back on her foot because it's so uncomfortable. Prince Quadragentubling and 43rella then danced happily ever after. The end. And just viewers, if you want to see some sequels, something like that, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on Andrew Does Everything. and buy our merchandise. Take care. Bye.